Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirye Ashtuprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So after hearing the wonderful Shrutifal yesterday of hearing about Maharaj Prithu, so we are starting the next chapter today, Canto 4, Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Text 1 onwards. Maitre Vacha Vijitashvo Adhiraja Sit Prithu Putra Prithu Shrava Yaviyobhyo Adadat Kashtha Bhratribhyo Bhratri Vatsalah. The great sage Maitreya continued, Vijitashva, the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu, who had a reputation like his father's, became emperor and gave his younger brothers different directions of the world to govern, for he was very affectionate towards his brothers. After describing the life and character of Maharaj Prithu in the previous chapter, the great sage Maitreya began to speak about the sons and grandsons in the genealogical line of the Prithu dynasty. After the death of Maharaj Prithu, his eldest son Vijitashva became emperor of the world. King Vijitashva was very affectionate towards his younger brothers, and therefore he wanted them to rule different directions of the world. From time immemorial, the eldest son generally becomes king after the death of the previous king. When the Pandavas ruled the earth, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the eldest son of King Pandu, became emperor, and his younger brothers assisted him. Similarly, King Vijitashva, younger brothers were appointed to govern the different directions of the world. So as we studied that Maharaj Prithu had 5 sons and Vijitashva was the eldest son. So he became the emperor and he gave his younger brothers different directions of the world to govern. So it wasn't like, okay, I'm the king and you all go to the prison now. No. Haryakshaya dishat prachim dhumrakeshaya dakshinam pratichim vrik sangyaya turyam dramine se vibhu. Maharaj Viditasha offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Haryaksha, the southern part to Dhumrakesh, the western part to Vrik, and the northern part to Dravina. Antardhan gatim shakra labdhvantardhan sangita apatiyatrayam adhatta shikhandinyam susammatam. Formerly, Maharaj Viditasha pleased the king of heaven, Indra, and from him received the title Antardhan. His wife's name was Shikhandini, and by her he begot 3 good sons. Maharaj Vijitashva was known as Antardhan, which means disappearance. He received this title from Indra and referred to the time when Indra stole Maharaj Prithu's horse from the sacrificial arena. Indra was not visible to others when he was stealing the horse, but Maharaj Prithu's son Vijitashva could see him. Yet despite his knowing that Indra was taking away his father's horse, Vijitashva didn't attack him. This indicates that Maharaj Vijitashva respected the right persons. Although Indra was stealing the horse from his father, Vijitashva knew perfectly well that Indra was not an ordinary thief. Since Indra was a great and powerful demigod and servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vijitashva purposefully excused him due to sentiment only, even though Indra was acting wrongly. Thus, Indra became very pleased with Vijitashva at that time. The demigods have the great mystic power of being able to appear and disappear according to their own will. And since Indra was very pleased with Vijitashva, he bestowed his mystic power upon him. Thus, Vijitashva became known as Antardhan. So we know that story when Indra stole the horse from the sacrificial arena because he didn't want Maharaj Prithu to complete 100 sacrifices, 100 Ashwamedh sacrifices. So twice he stole, and both times he took the form of a sannyasi or sadhu, and Vijitashu ran after him. Although Indra was invisible to others, but Vijitashu could still see him. So he brought the horse back, but he did not punish Indra. So Indra was pleased with that, and he gave him this power of becoming antardhan or invisible at his will. Pavakah pavamanascha शुचिर इति अग्नेया पुरः वसिष्ठा शापद उत्पन्नः पुनर्योग गतिम गतः. The three sons of Maharaj Antardhan were named Pavak, Pavaman, and Shuchi. Formerly, these three personalities were the demigods of fire. But due to the curse of the great sage Vasishtha, they became the sons of Maharaj Antardhan. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that one who falls down from yoga practice is elevated to the heavenly planets. And after enjoying the material facilities there, he again comes down to the earthly planet and takes birth in a very rich family or a very pious Brahmin family. Thus, it is to be understood that when demigods fall down, they come to earth as sons of very rich and pious families. In such families, a living entity gets an opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness and thereby gain promotion to his desired goal. The sons of Maharaj Antardhan had been the demigods in charge of fire, and they regained their former position and by mystic power returned to the heavenly planets. So here he had three sons, Pavak, Pavaman, and Shuchi. And Shloka says, by the curse of great sage Vasishtha, they had to fall down. I don't know the story behind it. Maybe Prabhupada mentioned it some other place. So we'll see if it comes up. Antardhano nabhasvatyam havirdhanam avindata naya indram ashva hartaram vidwan apina jagrivan. Maharaj Antardhan had another wife named Nabhaswati, and by her he was happy to begot another son named Havirdhan. Since Maharaj Antardhan was very liberal, he did not kill King Indra, while the demigod was stealing his father's horse at the sacrifice. It is understood from various scriptures and Puranas that the king of heaven, Indra, was very expert in stealing and kidnapping. He could steal anything without being visible to the proprietor, and he could kidnap anyone's wife without being detected. Once he raped the wife of Gautam Muni by using his disappearing art, and similarly by becoming invisible, he stole the horse of Maharaj Prithu. Although in human society such activities are considered abominable, the demigod Indra was not considered to be degraded by them. So he was not considered degraded because of his position of being a devotee of the Lord. So he gets punished, he gets rectifies his mistake, he takes shelter of Krishna again, and it can also be said it's all arranged by Krishna for a devotee like Indra when he does things like that for whatever purpose Krishna wants to fulfill. Although Antardhan could understand that King Indra was stealing the horse from his father, he did not kill Indra, for he knew that if one who's very powerful sometimes commits an abominable act, it should be disregarded. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated, Api chetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananyabhag sadhurev samantavya samyak vyavasvito hi sa. Thus the Lord says that even if a devotee commits an abominable act, he should be considered a sadhu or a pious man because of his unflinching devotion to the Lord. The devotees of the Lord never willingly commit any sinful act, but sometimes they commit something abominable due to their previous habits. Such acts should not be taken very seriously. However, because the devotees of the Lord are very powerful, whether they are on the heavenly planets or on this planet. If by chance they commit something abominable, it should not be taken into account, but should be overlooked. And that's why this verse and the verse following it, 931. So here it is a sadhu rev samantavya samya. And in the next verse it is said, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma, shasha shantam nigacchati. So very soon he becomes a dharmatma or a pious person. So now who becomes a pious person? Because in this verse it is said he should be considered a Mahatma, a sadhu. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained that the person who sees such a sadhu, although he committed an abominable act, but he still treats him like a sadhu. That person very soon becomes a Dharmatma because he has the right vision. So now it's up to us how we look at. Many times, not many times, I would say, most of the time, actually what's within us, that is what covers our vision. And that's how we look at things. If there are faults within us, there's so many faults, or tendencies, or desires within us. That is why when we look at somebody doing something, we tend to see in that respect only. We don't have an absolute vision. We have only respective vision. So that depends upon our consciousness, depends upon our sanskaras, depends upon our inner qualities that we have, especially the anarthas. Just like now King Vijitashva, son of Maharaj Prithu, although he saw Indra stealing the horse, Indra taking the form of a sannyasi or a sadhu, but still he got the horse back because yajna had to be performed, but he did not kill Indra, understanding that it's something else going on. That's why he is stealing. He's such a powerful demigod. Why would he steal otherwise? At the same time, if it was somebody else, if he had the other kind of vision, he would have fought with Indra. He could have, of course, he couldn't have killed Indra because Indra is there for a full one manvantar, but they could have been fight. They could have been war. He could have been justified. Oh, Indra was doing all that. That's why I did that. But it's the faults within us actually they cover our vision, and that's how the whole world is running actually. That's why we even when we see a pious man or even a pure devotee doing something, we find faults with it. We try to find what did the devotee do wrong, because we want to bring him down to our level. We cannot rise up to his level, so we try to bring him down to our level so that he doesn't get, according to us, he doesn't get more honor than he should. There have been so many, thousands and thousands of examples in the scriptures. Um, I'm trying to think of some examples. Um, just like when Shrivas Thakur, he was hosting the night kirtans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, in that kirtan party, Mahaprabhu's instructions were only devotees are allowed. And when the devotees would gather inside, they would close the doors and they would have whole night kirtan. But the residents who were not allowed and who wanted to come in, but they didn't have the right motive, so they would be spreading the rumors. Oh, these guys, they're alcoholics and they drink and then they have so many women with them inside and they're enjoying with the women, and that's why they don't want respectable people like us to go in and see watch what they're doing. So that was the mentality. Even they find faults with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and as associates just because they were not allowed to enter into Kirtan. So, in that case, what can you do? What justification could the devotees give to them? No, we are doing Kirtan only. There was no need for any justification. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was there. The Lord himself was there. He knew what was going on because he was part of that Kirtan. So there was no need to give any justification to anybody. And this is what the devotees did. They never spoke anything. But because those people, although living in Dham, they were living in Navdvip, they didn't have the right attitude. They didn't have the right positioning of the heart. And they were finding fault with the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu himself. So much so that once one Brahman, he was not allowed, and when Nimai came out of the kirtan in the morning, a Brahman was outside, and he broke his Brahman thread and cursed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That I curse you, and this is a Brahman's curse, it will not go in vain, that I curse you that you will never find any material happiness. Because according to his vision, material happiness was the goal of life. Having a good house, good wife, good family, lots of money and health, long life, that is the goal of life according to him. And Mahaprabhu, when he heard that, he said, "Oh, thank you very much. This is exactly what I wanted." Similarly, if we remember when Daksha, at the Daksha's arena, sacrificial arena, all the problems happened between him and Lord Shiva, and he cursed Lord Shiva that he cannot take your share of the yagyas. Daksha was looking at the whole thing from his perspective, not from absolute perspective. He didn't understand Lord Shiva's position. He thought because he was proud of getting his share as a demigod, so he thought if Shiva doesn't get his share, he would be like a laughing stock, and he would not have any followers or whatever. He would not have any opulence. But Lord Shiva didn't mind. He was like, "Oh, thank you very much. I didn't want to sit with the demigods and get this share of Karmakanda sacrifices." So everybody sees things according to his positioning of his heart and his consciousness. So that is why we have to be very, very careful dealing with devotees. Because we can commit mistakes, and then those mistakes can turn into aparat. It's very difficult. Even when Lord Brahma, I don't know that, of course, it's not in Bhagavatam, the whole pastime, but Prabhupada did mention it. I think we have already covered it. The Brahmaji, once his daughter was roaming, she had taken the form of a she deer and she was roaming in the garden, and Brahmaji became lusty and he ran after her, taking the form of a deer. Now over there was Lord Shiva was there, 6 sons of Atri were there, and 4 Kumaras were there. So Lord Shiva's position is higher than Brahmaji's. Even his vision, even his consciousness is higher, not just the position wise. His vision was higher. So he chastised Brahmaji. What are you doing? Doesn't look right. What are you doing? 4 Kumaras, their position is they are sons of Brahma, so they could not chastise their father. So they started praying to Lord Vishnu, please give him the right intelligence. But the 6 sons of Atri, they started laughing. And when they started laughing, they committed an offense. And because of this offense, they had to first take birth as somehow, I think they got killed by Hiranyakashipu, then they got killed by Kansa. They were the 6 sons of Devaki who were killed by Kansa before they were born, or before Krishna appeared. So this offense could be very, very problematic for our spiritual life. So if we see something, if we want to say something, either we have to be in a position of authority of that person, or we have a good relationship with that person, and out of compassion, out of sincere feeling for that person's upliftment or his or his progress in spiritual life, with that feeling in our heart, we say the right thing in the right way, then it is okay. But not with an intention to put him down in any way. That won't be right. So we got to be very, very careful. And if nothing else, if we cannot say anything, we just pray to the Lord. Please give him the right intelligence. That's a safest way. Ragyam vrittim karadana danda shulkadi darunam manyamano dirga satta travya jain visasarjaha. Whenever Antardhan, the supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens, or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. It is clear herein that the king sometimes has to perform duties which are not very desirable just because he is a king. Similarly, Arjun was not at all willing to fight because fighting or killing one's own kinsmen and family members is not at all desirable. Nonetheless, the Kshatriyas had to perform such undesirable actions as a matter of duty. Maharaj Antardhan was not very happy while exacting taxes or punishing the citizens for the criminal activities. Therefore, on the plea of performing sacrifices, he retired from the royal majestic power at a very early age. That was because his heart was not into all this. He is a self-realized soul. And this is what is mentioned later on. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so